What's good, YouTube? Spirit of Sadell coming at y'all with another video. Now I'll be talking about my astral projection experience and what all happened to me during that time. Now in the past, I have watched YouTubers who were talking about how you basically are your own technology. You are your computer in front of you. You are your phone. You are the internet. Your brain, your pineal gland activates your inner internet. I know it sounds corny, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense because you can learn any and everything through yourself. Now, the first thing that happened to me, I realized that my whole body was vibrating. And I also realized that I didn't have control of my body. But because of that, and knowing what lucid dreaming was, I knew that it was similar, but I knew it was something totally different. As I was drifting away in consciousness, I also realized that my whole body was vibrating, but it wasn't a bad vibration. It was literally, my body was literally vibrating. Like, if you ever seen Homer Simpson, it was like this one scene of him in his like electric chair or something, where he was just like, or massage chair or whatever it was, and he like drift off into the universe. That's kind of exactly how it felt. It felt exactly like that. And what ended up happening was, when I drifted off in consciousness, I ended up in space. Now when I ended up in space, I realized there was like this I don't want to say a diagram, but it was like a screen projection, and it was yellow, and it had like planets all over it, and it was like coordinates to planets, and it also was like basically a diagram of what the planets look like. Now on these, I realized that I had control of my body. Like, I knew I couldn't move my physical body, but I had my spiritual body, I could move. So I decided to click on one of these planets, and during this whole experience, my whole body was vibrating. I decided to click on one of these planets like it was an app or something. I tried to read the details, but I couldn't read the details. I ended up clicking on it and trying to read it like it was an app or something, and it did not work. I ended up being sucked into that planet, and like, on my way of going to that planet, I was being sunken inside. It felt like I was literally like teleporting to that planet. That's literally how it felt. But this vibration wasn't bad. It was just like a new experience. It was kind of a weird feeling, but at the same time, the experience itself was a lot different from anything I ever felt in my life. Now, the moment that I entered this planet, I realized the sky was green. The rocks was purple, and there was like yellowish rocks in the air. And for some reason, I could jump high, so I jumped on. And as I jumped, I tried to keep reaching the top because I wanted to learn more information about the planet. I ended up jumping like very, very far up, and then I fell down. Now on the ground, it was like a big crack, like a canyon, and it was like red and orange, yellow looking, like kind of like lava, but it wasn't nothing. It was just, I guess, the dirt of the ground. And as I'm falling through the cracks, it kind of reminded me of the Grand Canyon, because that's how big the cracks was. As I fell down, I asked myself, please somebody save me. As I asked that, some type of character came out of nowhere and literally grabbed me and saved me from falling all the way down. But something was telling me in the back of my head that this is not gonna hurt me, regardless of how hard I fall. But I still was too scared to acknowledge the fact that I was gonna fall, so I did not let that happen. Well, whoever that was did not let it happen. After they saved me, I looked at them, but I didn't say anything because I had no connection with that person. I didn't know what to say. So after they saved me, I just sat on the edge of the cliff, the Grand Canyon looking thing, and I just thought to myself. Now, one thing I forgot to add, before I entered the planets, that planet, actually the first thing, as soon as I entered the planet, I forgot to add this in. The moment I entered the planet, there were these lockers in front of me, these gray metal, I don't know how to explain it. It was like some different type of element, but it was similar to like metal and type lockers, and it was a straight gray, and they all had angel numbers on it, and it stretched out extremely far. I decided to click on one that said 107. 107, when I opened that locker, I realized there was more lockers behind that locker. As when I realized that all of the lockers disappeared, and the moment all the lockers disappeared, I seen them yellowish rocks, and on them yellowish rocks there had the number 7 on it. So as I fell, I noticed that as I was falling down out of the sky, when it was the number 7 was on the rocks. I realized that when I fell out of the sky. That was like the last thing I really thought about as I drift back into consciousness. Now I do remember after sitting on that cliff, I remember sinking back outside of that. It was like I was teleporting back home type shit. And as I teleported back home, I realized it went back to space, and then I went back, like my whole like vision turned white, and then I basically woke up. But I had control of my body. But during this whole experience, my whole body was vibrating. It was like one of the weirdest things ever. But that's all I got for y'all today. Tell me if y'all had an experience like this. Post a video about it. Tell me in the comments. I'll read it. But so Spirit is signing out.